Hi again everyone, welcome to another episode of Crochet Collective. Today we're going to be making a coaster. As you can see, it's nice and tight together, which makes it lovely and flat. Perfect for your cups. As you can see, I haven't yet made a brew. I'll fix that next. I'm going to be using a knit stitch today to make this really nice and tight together. And then finishing with this really nice edging, which I'll show you how to do. And then at the end of the video, I'll show you a couple of other things that these two techniques are really great for. So to start off with, you're going to need your selected yarn. So t-shirt yarn is great for this, and so is macrame cotton. This is a really nice cream one from Bobbiny. It's got a nice gold sparkly thread running through it because it's kind of like a cotton rope. It is machine washable as well. Great if you get any spills. And for this one, I'm going to be using a 6mm crochet hook. If you're using something like t-shirt yarn, just check the label for what size it recommends, as you might have to go up a size depending on what you're using. You'll also need a stitch marker as well. It'll make this a lot easier, whether that's a different coloured piece of cotton or string or something, or I'm actually using a keyring today. I have got stitch markers available in my Etsy shop as well, so I'll pop a link to that in the description box just in case you need some. The larger bulb stitch markers are really good for this. The little ones that you have to open are actually quite tricky. So to get started with, I'm going to mainly be using US terms, and it'll be single crochet. Okay, or if you're in the UK, it's a double crochet. So I'll just pop those there, and we're going to start off with making a magic ring, and then we're going to do 5 single crochets into the magic ring. So pop that there. If you struggle with a magic ring, there is another tutorial available which goes through it a lot slower, but I'll just show you again quickly now. So easiest way, use your 2 fingers, wrap around the back and cross over. Turn your fingers over so you've got both strands there, and use this finger to hold it in place. You go under the first and over the second with your hook pointing down. Pull that one through, and as you come up, twist your hook upwards. Okay, so that's your loop. You're going to chain 1 to secure it, and then we're going to do 5 single crochets, and you'll be working over both of these strands because you'll pull this tight afterwards. So 5 into the magic ring, so into your circle, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through, and that's your single crochet or a UK double crochet, and you're going to do 5 of those. So obviously if I go too fast at any point, just pause the video and then press play when you're ready. You can also, in the settings, slow the speed of the video down. So this first round, we are going to do a slip stitch to join, but that will change on the next rounds, and I'll show you that in a moment. So slip stitch under both, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through. And that's your starting circle. Okay, then you go into chain 1, and we're going to do 2 single crochets. So chain 1. This helps as well if you struggle with reading patterns. That's why I'm writing it down, make it easy for you to follow along. And if you do need to stop and start through the video or come back to it again later, you'll know where to join back in from. So we're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch. Now this is a little bit different to how you would normally work. That gives you 5, and you'll finish with 10. Usually you would go into the top V of the stitch and you would work your stitches in there like that. This is a little bit different because you're actually going to work into the leg of the stitch, which is this front part here. So if you see these here, easier if I show you with my hook, these all the way around, that is where you're going to put them. So you'll see that you have 5 of those. Okay, there's your last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is your first one. just after where you've done your chain. So go into there, come out the back of your work, pull up a loop as normal, yarn over and pull through as normal. But we're going to do 2 into each leg of the stitch. So that's 2. Now to save you having to weave this ending, it's really good to, if you can work over that as well. So again, into there, into this V at the front, into the leg, and then you'll see, if I try and show you on the back, you'll come out of the back of the stitch there. So it can be a little bit fiddly and a little bit tight, but we want it nice and tight so that it lays flat and we don't have gaps and holes in it, which is what normally makes coasters wobbly if you've made them. Okay, so that's the first one in that stitch. You'll notice as well, this is in a ball. It doesn't actually come like this. I've balled it up to make it easy to work with in my yarn bowl so that I'm not constantly pulling at it. So in again, I'm working over that end so that I don't have to try and weave that in. So I'm on 4 now. So that's 5 and 6. You'll find once you've done the first one into the leg, the second one's a lot easier to do. So make sure you're not going into this gap here, because this is the stitch. You need to go into sort of where it knots. Oops, sorry. Okay, so 7 in here. It's a tough one. Gets easier the bigger you get as well. So 7, 8, and then your last 2, 9 and 10. Now that I've worked that loose ending, I can just cut that short. Okay, so this is where the special slip stitch comes in, and you're going to use this on every other round now. So you can see we've kind of got a longer gap there, a longer horizontal stitch, and then this was our first stitch. I'll start using stitch markers from this one. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to go into this V shape after where the horizontal stitch is, but it's not a slip stitch as you would normally do. So we're going to go in there, out the back of your work, pull that through, and then don't finish your slip stitch yet. You're going to go into the back loop only of this next one along. So back loop only, pull through, pull through, pull through, and that completes your special slip stitch. This means that you won't have a visible join. It'll all flow nicely, and it's not as obvious as doing a normal slip stitch and chain 1. Okay, so our first stitch is going to be in here. We'll put our stitch marker in a moment. There's no chaining at the beginning of this round. We're just going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch again. So if you're 10 and you're now doubling your stitches, you should then have 20 when you get to the end. So that's why you've just done your slip stitch, and you're now working into this one here. Hope that's clear. And you're going to do 2 again. So just do your first one, and this is US single crochet or UK double. So now get your stitch marker. Now this is why I prefer to use like a bulb stitch marker or a keyring rather than a piece of string, is because although this is the first stitch, this is going to be the first leg that we work into on the next round. So I'm actually going to put my stitch marker through there, and it's helpful if you've got one that you can fasten so that it's not going to come out, and that just makes things a whole lot easier. Save you having to count and trying to figure it out, and it'll help you work out where you're doing your slip stitch as well. So again, we're going to do 2 single crochets in each of these legs. It's the easiest way for me to describe what they are. So that's 4. So go ahead and pause the video and come back when you're finished and we'll go on to the next round. Okay, so we've got to the end of the round. There's your stitch mark for your first one, so now you're going to be working into that leg. But now you need to do the special slip stitch. So we're going to go where this long horizontal line is again. You're going to go into the leg in front of it, so sort of where it meets. Pull up a loop and then into the back loop only of the next stitch and pull through all three. Okay, take your stitch marker out and we're now going to start the next round. So we know that this is the one we just took it out of, and we're now going to do 2 single crochets, 1 single crochet, and you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. Again, we'll be increasing by another 10, so that will give us 30 in total. So again, start off with 2 in the first stitch. So there's 1. Pop my stitch marker back in so that I know which leg I'm working into when I start my next row. And then there's the second one. Just pull a little bit more out. So then into the next leg, we're going to do 1. And we're going to continue that all the way around. So 2 and then 1, 2 and then 1. It doesn't actually matter whether you start with 1 in the first or 2 in the first, as long as you alternate, and whichever one you started with, you will finish with the opposite one. And then just double check that you've definitely got the right number of stitches when you get to the end of the round, otherwise you'll find that your work goes bumpy. If you find that your work is curling upwards, because it should be able to lay flat the whole way around, it could be that your tension is very, very tight, or that you've got the wrong sized hook, so you may have to adjust slightly. The great thing with this macrame cotton or even t-shirt yarn is that it is quite forgiving. You can stretch it and pull it a little bit. You don't have to worry about blocking it, because it's very sturdy and it will just keep its shape, so it makes it really nice to work with. If you find that your wrist is aching, give yourself a little break. Go and make yourself a brew, put something else on the telly. You don't want to end up with sore wrists, and it's a common complaint with things like t-shirt yarn. Make sure you sat somewhere comfortably. You don't want to have to be putting down the crochet. So carry on all the way around, just double check that you've got 30 when you get to the end, and carry on in that pattern of 2 single crochets, 1 single crochet all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the end. Okay, so here I am at the end. I've just got my last single crochet to do in this leg here, and then we want to do that special slip stitch again. I'm not sure if it has a particular name. I've just been calling it the special slip stitch, and that's what I've called it in the pattern as well that I've written. I'll pop a link to that in the description box. It's available for free on the website, to make something else but using this same technique. So into the first, back loop only, yarn through. There's our special slip stitch again. Okay, so for this round, this is going to be our last round of the coaster, and we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around, so we'll still have 30 at the end. Now obviously this is the last round for doing a coaster. If you want to do something bigger, like a placemat for example, then you would have to keep increasing. But we're just going to stop here because this is a good size to do. Okay, so I'm going to take that out, but I know which one it came out of, so I can go back into there. I'm going to do 1 single crochet all the way around into the legs of the stitches again as normal. So this is the last round. Still put your stitch marker in, even though we're going to finish this a little bit differently when we get back to the end, ready for our next one. So 1 all the way around, and just double check that you've got 30. So again, feel free to pause the video and we'll meet back at the end of the round when we're ready. Okay, so here we are at the end. So I did mention we're going to finish this round slightly different. So it's still very similar to the special slip stitch we've been doing. You're going to go through the leg as normal, pull up a loop. This time, instead of going through the back loop only, you're going to go through both. Okay, and then pull through all the loops. Okay, you now, this is where it's a little bit different. I'll take my stitch marker out, we won't need that anymore. Okay, you're going to turn the work so that the wrong side is facing you. It'll be really easy to tell because this side is kind of like lovely little pointy patterns, and on the back it's a lot more loopy. Okay, move your long tail over there. Pull that up so you don't lose it. And then you're going to put your hook, so coming from the wrong side, through. Take your loop, put it back over your hook, like that. And then you're going to pull that through both. So you're now working on the wrong side, and you've got your long thread here. Okay, what you want to do now is we're basically going to be slip stitching around, but you're working from the wrong side. Okay, so we're going to carry on working forwards like we normally would, but you're going to slip stitch all the way around. No, sorry, I don't know what I was thinking then. I was thinking of, I mentioned I'd show you something at the end of the video. I've skipped to that part. That's if you're going to make a basket. You would slip stitch all the way around. So let me just undo that. My mistake. So I'm back on the right side. Pull that back through. So, special slip stitch. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to reverse single crochet. So chain one. This is for the coaster, so ignore that bit about turning it the wrong side. Okay, so you're back at the end of the round. And just double check you've got your 30 stitches so that you know it's even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 and 30. Okay, special slip stitch that we have done before. So this time when we slip stitch, we're going to go through both loops. Okay, so you make sure, oh sorry, not a special slip stitch on this one, just slip stitch as normal. So through both loops, slip stitch, and that's you finishing the round now. So now we just want our finishing round. So we're going to chain one, and this time, so you've done your slip stitch, you've chained one, and now we're going to reverse single crochet all the way around. So keeping your work facing you, and you've chained one, go into the first chain, the first stitch that you've just done, so which was the last stitch of the last round, and single crochet, yarn over and pull through. So it will look like it sticks up quite a bit. Okay, so again, working towards the right hand side for a change. I'm going to go into both loops, yarn over and pull up your loop, pull through your loop, yarn over and pull through two, and that will tie down that first one. So you need to keep going at that. Again, I'll show you again because it can be a little bit tricky. So you've just been into that one, you're now going to go into this one. Don't worry if you can't see it, I'm trying to show you as best I can. Maybe that way. So you're going to go into two loops, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both. And this will give you that sort of rolled over look. that we've got on the finished coaster. And you're just going to single crochet like that all the way around, and then when you get to the end you can just slip stitch and tie off. Now with yarn that's so thick it can be hard to weave in your end, and I generally don't tend to. Something thick like this is really good at holding itself in place. Now if you find that you're getting a little bit tangled doing your reverse single crochet, as you're working round, just separate out these loops slightly and they'll all sort of lean. But it's much easier to do it as you're going around. So as you put your hook in, sort of pull your loop down, then go through the two, pull your yarn through, and you're keeping that horizontal line. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through. Okay, otherwise what can happen is if you're getting a bit tangled with it, you'll end up crossing the stitches over, and it will still be fine, it just won't look as neat at the end. So keep going all the way around. If you need to pause the video to take a little bit more time, that's fine. Nearly back at the beginning now, so I'll just keep going. So what I was saying at the end about show you other useful things these are for, this really tight stitch, which I believe is knit stitch, is really good for baskets, because it makes the base really sturdy, especially if you're using something thicker. Then it will make for a really solid base. And it also means when you're working up the sides of the basket, carry on doing the knit stitch. Not only does it make the basket sturdy, it means it's not holy, and it aligns all your stitches, and it just looks a lot neater. It's also great if you want to do colour changes as well. It'll just keep everything lined up. So go into that last one there to finish off. Okay. So that's your last reverse single crochet, and you'll see you've got a bit of a gap. All I would then do is into this very first one that you made, so it's where your chain one is, put your yarn through, your hook, sorry, through, and if you can, just get through both of those. Okay, and then you want to slip stitch that back through. And that finishes it off, so you'll get this nice round finish, and you can't really tell where that started or ended. I think it's actually here. Okay. And what I'll do is if I just snip those, couldn't find my snips when I was sat on them. So that's the one that we worked in at the beginning, so I'll just cut that nice and short. That now disappears. And on this one, snip it a little bit longer. Okay, oops daisy. Pull your hook through. And if you pull that tight, you can pull that loop down to the back. So if you've got a really big eyed needle that will fit your t-shirt yarn or whatever through, then great, use that. I don't, so I tend to just work it through with my hook. So if you just go under some stitches, it's really great if you ever lose your needle or snap your needle part way through. So go under one and just pull it through, and you can weave your ends in using your hook instead. So there's no real science to it particularly, just make sure that you go in under some and over others. Go back and forth a couple of times until you're happy that that's secure, because obviously this is something that you might want to wash once in a while. You know, if it gets tea stains on it or whatever, you may want to wash it, so make it nice and secure. You can as well if you wanted to, without affecting it lying flat too much. You could tie a knot in it as well. But let's snip that off, and then you have one coaster, two coasters. Now this one, once it was done, I've given it a little bit of a stretch, and that lies nice and flat. This one, I think I may have actually crocheted it a little bit tighter. I think my tension was a little bit tighter. If you give it a bit of a stretch, they will both now lie totally flat for your drinks or whatever. So they make really good, quick, easy little gifts to make. Ideal for Christmas, maybe team it with a new cup or a couple of cups, a couple of mug cozies, which I've got a pattern for as well. That's available free on the website too. Got little Santa mug cozies or anything, and it just makes a really nice little personalised gift. So have a go at those. I'll do another tutorial soon for some baskets using this same technique, but then a little bit different for how to work up from the base. But if not, give those a go yourself. Don't forget to share on Instagram if you're on there. Use the hashtag crochetcollective20 or follow us on Instagram at Let's Create a Gift. Also, Let's Create a Gift on Facebook or our Facebook group, Crochet Collective, as well. I'll pop all the links in the description box. And hopefully you'll share lots of pictures and I can have a see what you've made. Thanks very much, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.